Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you all for coming to the annual Veterans Day program here at Forest Lake. On these years, the alternate years, it's over at the VFW, so we just flip-flop between the VFW and us for this one. And then in May, when we do the Memorial Day service, we flip-flop on that one also. So we always do a joint thing, and just the host is the part that flip-flops back and forth. So if everybody that's able, if you'd stand up, the colors are going to come in. So if you turn and look to your right rear back there, and Dave Roving, the chaplain from the VFW, is going to march us in and get us started. Veterans can salute. Please uncover and join me in the opening prayer. Lord God, I give you thanks for being our Creator and our Redeemer and our Sustainer. We thank you for all that you do for each and every one of us. And even though we may stumble and not do what you want us to do, you still keep loving us. We thank you for that. We thank you for your blessings. We ask that you would bless our country, even during those times when we don't deserve it. So we ask that you would also be with us tonight in this program that we have as we recognize veterans for their service, and the ones in the past that did not come home, and the ones that still are gone and hopefully will come home soon. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. We have there's a POW table that's in the right rear. So I just wanted to recognize that, POW MIA. And for the Pledge of Allegiance, do we have anyone here that's still in grade school that come up front? Is there any? Come on up front. We're going to have you help us do the Pledge of Allegiance. Stand up here, you're right over here. Okay. So we go ahead and put your right hand over your heart, please, and face the U.S. flag, and let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You can be seated. Oh, never mind. One more thing. Gotta look down there. We're going to do the National Anthem. We have Russ Mansmith right here, and he has a much better voice than I do. Russ, it's all yours. So face the flag again, and veterans can salute. Everybody else, right hand over the heart.
What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be singing the fourth stanza of our national anthem, and then I'll want you all to join with me after I finish the fourth stanza, and we'll sing the one that we're more familiar with. Oh, thus be it ever, when free men shall stand between their loved homes and the war's desolation. Blessed with victory and peace, may the heaven-rescued land praise the power that hath made and preserved us a nation. Then conquer we must, when our cause it is just, and this be our motto: in God is our trust. And the star-spangled banner in triumph shall wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Now we're going to sing the one you're more familiar with. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Now you can be seated. You're up, Paul.
All right, well, can everybody hear me? Okay. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for being a part of our program tonight. To all the veterans here today, I sincerely thank you for your service and sacrifice. I share the pride you feel in being able to say you have served in the greatest military in the world. Thank you all for choosing to honor Veterans Day today and show your support of our heroes, past and present. America without soldiers would be like God without angels. There is nothing nobler than risking your life for your country. I have long believed that the sacrifice is the pinnacle of patriotism. This nation will remain the land of the free only so long as it is the home of the brave. Thank you all for attending this service, this celebration tonight. And I will now turn this back to Ron, and we'll move on.
Thank you, Commander, Post 225, American Legion, Paul Siebert. Okay, the keynote speaker today is Charles Haas, goes by Chuck, and he lives in Hugo, kind of the eastern part of Hugo, actually, and he was the keynote speaker at the Forest Lake High School today, which was about a 10:30 morning program today, and so when I found out that he was going to be the speaker at the high school, I said, Chuck, would you be our speaker this evening also? And he graciously said yes. And so we have Chuck here, and you can see in your program on that right-hand side the three or four paragraphs that I have of Chuck's bio. So, thank you, Chuck.
You know, they videoed that and put it on YouTube. You could have just played that. Well, what I was asked to do this morning and tonight is to talk about the Yellow Ribbon Program. That is a program of the Minnesota National Guard. We have over 13,000 soldiers and airmen in the Minnesota National Guard. And it used to be that being in the National Guard meant you would drill 1 weekend a month and you'd go 2 weeks up to Camp Ripley and train. Well, in the years following 9/11, what is now known as the global war on terror, the Guard is being constantly deployed, year after year after year. Matter of fact, we have over 1,500 Air and Army Guard soldiers and airmen deployed right now. We have a bunch in the 194 Armor. Who knows what their nickname is? No, that's right, but no, their unit nickname. The Battling Bastards of Bataan. Couldn't say that this morning at the school. And that's because they traced their lineage back to the Second World War in the Philippines when they were pretty much abandoned and sacrificed, and thousands and thousands of them were on that Bataan Death March, and so they have their nickname, their lineage traces back to them. I'm jumping ahead in my story, but we, for the last several years, have had a outfit down in southern Minnesota that will put together a package of coffee for each soldier or airman deployed, and their unit gets to choose what their special blend is going to be called and what the label is going to be. Any guess what their blend is? The Bastard Blend. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, they're deployed, based out of Kuwait, but they've gone to Syria. A couple of their companies were deployed to the Kabul International Airport for the evacuation, had some harrowing times. And one of our Hugo residents is a captain in A Company, and they told us quite a lot about what they're doing. Their Blackjack Company went over to Egypt and played with their tanks and shot up a lot of things, as folks like to do. They got to make noise and break things, and they had a lot of fun. Now they're in Saudi Arabia, some of them, and we have a whole bunch of airmen in the Niger desert in Africa. They describe it as an austere location. That's code for this place sucks. They get mail in a plane once every 3 weeks. So anyway, I got off my script. Back around 2007, the Minnesota National Guard decided that they needed a program to deal with the continuing deployments, getting our soldiers and airmen from being citizens to soldiers and then transitioning back to citizens again. So they created what's called the Beyond the Yellow Ribbon program to help soldiers and their families before, during, and after the deployment cycle. Cities and counties and companies throughout the state of Minnesota were encouraged to become Yellow Ribbon networks, create a volunteer group to support soldiers and airmen through those deployment cycles. And Hugo is a Yellow Ribbon network. Forest Lake has a Yellow Ribbon network. Forest Lake, I don't know when they were proclaimed, but Hugo was proclaimed in 2009 and 10. So we've been around a long time. I like to say Hugo was the second Yellow Ribbon network deployed. But Stillwater and Woodbury will tell you they were deployed on the same day. And I'll tell you the deployments were made alphabetically. So anyway, what we do is respond to requests for assistance that come to us from the Family Assistance Centers, the unit chaplains, the FRGs, for home repairs, car repairs, moving expenses, transportation. We pay for medical bills and household repairs. There's a Korean War veteran living right down 61 here that needed some help with his lawn mowing and tree trimming, so we were able to do that. So those are the things we do on a regular basis. There isn't a month that goes by that we don't get a request for something. Moving is a big one, because usually it takes a big group of people to move a whole household from one place to another. And a lot of times we will partner with other networks to get those jobs done. A lot of yellow ribbon companies, McGough comes to mind, and Krause Anderson, they'll bring over their yellow ribbon network volunteers and their trucks and help get the move done. We do a lot of partnering with the St. Paul Beyond the Yellow Ribbon Network, so we partner. We've partnered with the Rotary Club at Forest Lake High School for the last 3 years. They're doing wonderful work gathering care package items and sending them to deployed soldiers. They were honored last year by the 133rd Air Wing as the Volunteer Group of the Year. The Air Wing had all the high school students down, and they got to meet the governor, and they got a real big ceremony to recognize them for their outstanding volunteer service. We respond to the unit's request for picnics and parties. There's a couple of units in the Stillwater Armory that we've done those sort of events for. Their deployment ceremonies, their welcome home ceremonies. We've got folks that can cook up the food and serve up the food and make it for a nice event. We have a Secret Santa program every year where our volunteers will adopt a military family and shop for them. We have a military youth hunt every year for 40 or so military youngsters out at Wild Wings in Hugo. We've been doing that for 4 years. This year we were invited by the Washington County Sheriff's Office to come up with 10 families for their Shop with a Cop program. So I contacted Minnesota National Guard Family Programs and said, could you extend this invitation out? Well, we got a lot more than 10 kids. And so we were able to provide funding for over 30 youngsters, and about 10 of them are outstate. They were a little too far to come shop some night in Stillwater, so we were able to get the Minnesota State Patrol to help out and shop with the trooper as well as shop with the cop. One of the things we do a lot of is care packages. We've sent over 72,000 pounds of care packages to soldiers, sailors, Marines, and I got to tell you a Marine story because saw a couple of Marines out here. We have a Marine family in Hugo, and their son was deployed, and one of the things they had on their wish list was socks. So, okay, I got a company of Marines that need socks. So I'm over at Costco, and I got this huge shopping cart, and it's filled with socks. And I'm pushing it down the aisle, and this guy looks at me. Do you have a centipede at home? Never forget that. Never forget that. At the Forest Lake High School today, they had a slide presentation where they were recognizing all sorts of military folks. And one of them was T. Sean Harrington. He was with the 2135 Infantry Regiment. They were deployed to Egypt and Syria a couple of years ago, and he won the award for the most unique care package wish list item. He's in the desert, and he says, we'd really like some underwater cameras. And I said, what are you talking about? And he said, well, we're right by the Red Sea, you know, so sure. And he sent back some photos of them scuba diving or snorkeling or whatever. So thought of him today because he was on that picture. But anyway, we send a lot of care packages. And one of the other things we do is we have a welcome home pheasant hunt. A friend of mine and I were complaining back in 2009 that it was raining, kind of like a day like today, and we couldn't go hunting. And then we said, oh, wait a minute, there's a whole bunch of soldiers from the 34th Infantry Division. They missed the whole hunting season. So we got to do something about it. So back then we started this hunt, and I'm proud to say we've had 26 hunts. We've hosted every returning Minnesota National Guard unit from overseas deployment, over 2,500 soldiers and airmen. We have Burger Night at the Hugo Legion once a month, where military families and the community get together. Families of deployed military eat free. We have business sponsors that help pay the cost, and we're proud that the business community is providing so much robust support that it's over a year's wait to be a business sponsor. So we're really happy that the community is supporting our military members and their families. And that's kind of what we do. We have a lot of volunteers that do a lot. And is there anybody here from the Forest Lake beyond the Yellow Ribbon? They talked to me about there you go. Oh, hi, Susan. And they're wanting to revitalize that, so I hope you hear from them soon and that you would reach out and be a part of that and help with that. So thank you for your time tonight.
That Burger Night is the fourth Tuesday of every month, right? Except December. Yeah, let's see what happens around the fourth Tuesday in December. Yeah. Okay. So Russ is going to go ahead and he's going to do a little bit of a prelude on this God Bless America also. Yeah,
I think it might be appropriate if you stand up. I'm going to be singing a prelude to the song God Bless America. And then I'm going to sing God Bless America, and then the second time I want you all to join with me. I was told when I was in elementary school, if you can talk, you can sing. So let's prove it. This song was written in 1918 by a Jewish immigrant whose parents had fled Russia because of religious persecution. It became popular in 1938 as Germany began to push to occupy their neighbors in Europe. There are times when this song has been sung in the place of the national anthem, God Bless America, by Irving Berlin. While the storm clouds gather far across the sea, let us swear allegiance to the land that's free. Let us all be grateful for a land so fair, as we raise our voices in a solemn prayer. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Yeah, man. Be seated, please. Hi, I'm the commander of the post 4210. In 1921, an unknown World War I American soldier was buried in Arlington Cemetery. This site on the hillside overlooking the Potomac River and the city of Washington, D.C. became the focal point of reverence for American veterans. Similar ceremonies occurred earlier in England and France, where an unknown soldier was buried in each nation's highest place of honor. These memorial gestures took place on November 11th, giving universal recognition to the celebration ending the World War I fighting at 11 a.m., November 11th, 1918. The 11th hour, the 11th day of the 11th month. That day became known as Armistice Day. Armistice Day officially received its name in America in 1926. through a congressional resolution. It became a national holiday 12 years later by similar congressional action. If the idealistic hope had been realized that World War I, the war of end all wars, November 11th, might still be called Armistice Day. But only a few years later, after the holiday was proclaimed, war broke out in Europe. 16.5 million Americans took part. 407,000 of them died in service. More than 292 in battle. 292,000, excuse me. The first celebration using the term Veterans Day occurred in Birmingham, Alabama in 1947. Raymond Weeks, a World War II veteran, organized National Veterans Day, which included a parade and other festivities to honor the veterans. The event was held on November 11th, then designated Armistice Day. A U.S. representative, Edward Reed of Kansas, proposed a bill to change Armistice Day to Veterans Day in 1954. Congress passed that bill, and President Eisenhower signed it, proclaiming November 11th as Veterans Day. On Memorial Day in 1958, two more unknown Americans were deceased service members were brought from overseas and interned into a plaza beside the unknown servicemen of World War I. One was killed in World War II, the other was killed in Korea. In 1984, an unknown serviceman from Vietnam War was placed alongside the others. On May 14, 1998, the remains of that Vietnam veteran serviceman was exhumed and identified as Air Force First Lieutenant Michael Joseph Blassie. He was removed from bail. To honor these men, symbolic to all Americans who gave their life in all wars, the Army Honor Guard serves the U.S. Infantry, known as the Old Guard, keeps day and night vigil. A law passed in 1968 that changed the national commemoration of Veterans Day to the fourth Monday in October. However, it soon became apparent that November 11th was a day of historic significance to many. Therefore, in 1978, Congress returned the observance of this traditional November 11th date. The focus point for official national cemeteries for Veterans Day continues to be at the Memorial Amphitheater built around the Tomb of the Unknown at 11 a.m. on November 11th. A combined color guard representing all military service executes presenting arms at the Tomb of the Unknown. The nation's tribute to its war is symbolized by the laying of the presidential wreath and the bugle playing taps. I thank you for joining us today in the remembrance and the celebration of all veterans, past, present, and future. Thank you.
So now we're going to talk a little bit about the Veterans Memorial, which is actually, if you take Broadway here, just before you get into the water, there's a circle of, a semicircle of flags, and that's where the Veterans Memorial is. 2009, we started with a plan that had a concept, and you can see it on the back here. We're looking that concept. Dave Irving is part of the committee to do that. Mark Finneman, whoever Mark is somewhere out there. Mark is over there. And we have Gary Lee and Bob Detmer and a few others, and then the Forest Lake Chamber of Commerce and Jamie Mouche from the Parks, Trails, and Lakes and that group. And so the next thing is that we're going to take our proposed plan to the Parks, Trails, and Lakes meeting in November 16th. One thing that is going to not change is that we're going to continue to do the pavers that we have in the past. The 4x8 pavers are like this one, and then the 8x16 is the other one there. And so people can buy them any time of the year, purchase them at the City Hall, and then I pick up all the orders, and I send the orders in, and we go ahead and dedicate those on Memorial Day, and then we also dedicate on Veterans Day. We have 5 to dedicate today. The problem is they did not arrive. There's a new people that are in charge of a legacy in stone up in Little Falls and Richmond, Minnesota, and Hibbing and Duluth, and they didn't get them here again. But as soon as they do, I will get them installed in the ground if it hasn't frozen. If it's frozen, what I do is I wait until April, and I do it then. But nonetheless, we have we told the family members to come because we're going to dedicate them, and it's for those that are living and deceased. And so first of all, we have one person out of the group that is living, and that is Glenn Miles. And so Glenn, if you would stand up, and what it says on Glenn's is Glenn E. Miles, Navy, RD2, and that's radar, right? Radar 2, it's not I always get confused with something different than that. I want to put that in your mind because I want you to think radar. RD2 in Navy speak is radar, second class. And he was on the USS Waldron from 1966 to 1970 was when he was in the service. He spent some time in Vietnam, and the Waldron, the code name for that is a DD-699. So thank you, Ruth, his wife, for and thank you, Glenn, because Glenn had all the details. It just so happens that I met Ruth, the deadline is September 15th, and at about the 15th, I think is what it was, as I saw her out at the park or the Veterans Memorial, and I knew Ruth from before. I said, "Hi, Ruth, what's up?" And so she chatted with me a little bit, and then she says, "Well, when can we do that?" etc. Anyway, boils down to, I said, "Hey, if you want to do it, dedicate it now. Let's get the information. I know that Glenn can get it off the top of his head as what it was, and let's get those in." So that's how we got Glenn's in quick. All right, so that's Glenn's. Now the next 4 are people who have passed away, and so the first one, Merle Boleen, is Claudia here. So for the rest of them, the family members of Merle, if you would go ahead and stand up. Merle passed away. When did he pass away? Not too long ago. Okay, read that. April 15th of this year, so it's been recently. And she was going to buy a small one, but she had used Robert's Funeral Home, and they upped it up to the larger ones. But so anyway, Merle says Merle S. Boleen, Air Force, Airman First Class, which is A1C, firefighter, and the years was 1956 to 1964, and he was in the 133rd Minnesota Air National Guard, so that would be down by MSP. So thank you for honoring Merle by purchasing the paver for him. Edward W. Hine, the family member for Ed. Anybody? Okay. Thank you. Edward W. Hine, he was in the Army. He was a Specialist 4. 101st Airborne Division was one of his main units from 1964 to 1968, and he was in Vietnam. was one of the places he was at. So thank you, family, for purchasing one for Ed. All right. And family members, you can come and take this printout and to take pictures and take it. I went ahead and took that off of what the layout is actually going to look like. Okay, Gary's. So the next one would be the smaller, the 4x8 size, Dan Steenblock. Is there anybody, family here for Dan Steenblock? Way in the back there. All right, thank you. And Dan Steenblock says Daniel Steenblock, Army Specialist 4, that's what SP4 means. And March of 1962 to 1965 is when he was in the Army. So thank you, family. And then there's Gary Weimer. Is Stephanie or Rita here? No? Okay, so Gary Weimer, he was a police officer down here, actually in Minneapolis years ago. He retired and went up to Silver Bay, and so I got to know him well up there, but he was in the Legion here for a long time. Gary passed away April 1st. So his daughter and Rita went ahead and bought one for him. So it says Gary W. Weimer, Army, Sergeant First Class. He was both in armor, tanks and that kind of stuff, and military police. And he was in 1962 to 68 was his active duty time, and he spent time in Korea. And then later he was in the Minnesota Army National Guard, the 257th MPs, and that was in 1978 up to 1988. So Gary Weimer. Okay, so I have two of them to look. You can look at the sizes and what they're like without any engraving on, and one from the past that has engraving. So you can look at those, and the family, you can get yours here. The next thing I'm going to go into is this moment of silence part, and what I'm going to mention is one of our main persons that was on the committee when we originally started in 2009 was George Bonfi. Now George is in this picture here when we got that display stand situated out in the park, and he's in the wheelchair. He's basically paralyzed from his waist down. George is, I don't know, about my age. He was in the Army, and he passed away this morning. Yes, and so George was quite a guy, and he was in the for the last 3 weeks or so. He wasn't doing very well, and then I found out that he was in the hospital, but I thought he was down in Florida in the hospital. Well, he actually was in the VA hospital here in Minneapolis, and his daughter Sunitha went ahead and called me yesterday, and we talked about it, and then his son came from, he's a captain in the active duty Army, and he came from Seattle, I assume Fort Lewis, Washington, and so now that he was here, they unplugged the life support, and I found out that he passed this morning. You can watch for Matson's funeral home an obituary, because he's going to have a funeral there probably early next week. So that was George Bonfi. The other thing I want to say in this time, on the sad part of times, is hopefully you saw the information, whatever, about Caleb Wedger. Now, Caleb, did you happen to be here tonight? If he was, I'd have him stand up, whatever, but okay, he isn't. But you might have seen, you saw it in the papers and whatever. He started off from here, he did 100 miles. He ran, up to North Branch or whatever it was, and down to Hugo and back again and whatever on that weekend, that Friday and Saturday about a month ago. And it was for suicide awareness. So I wanted to mention Caleb and his foundation that that he's supporting for donations is a fishing foundation. But let's just think about veterans who have death by suicide. So the next thing we're going to go into is the rifle firing and the echo taps. So I'm going to go to the time of silence until I get there and get them started. You have your seats. Good day.
Just ask that you'd please remove your hats, bow your hearts in prayer. Again, Lord, we give thanks to those who answered our country's call to serve. Protect those who even now guard the gates of freedom. Bless us, O Lord, and these thy gifts, which we are about to receive from thy bountiful and gracious goodness. Amen.
So that's pretty much the conclusion of our program this evening. But before we go, I would like to really thank the Legion/VFW Color Guard for all you guys did today. They've been out since early this morning, going to schools and senior centers, and where else? That covers it.
The youngest will be about high schoolers, and the oldest.
Yep, so they've been out all day, and that they really give their time for this. So thank you to them. And thank you to Ron Miller tonight for doing the emceeing. He's also part of the color guard, so he's probably tired and they probably need to take him home. Ron also puts together this program, so he puts a lot of time into it. So thank you, Ron. I'd like to thank Russ Mansmith. You did a wonderful job today. It was awesome to hear your voice. Chuck Haas, always great to have a great speaker. And then we want to thank Matson's Funeral Home. So after we're done here tonight, they're serving a spaghetti dinner. They're providing and serving the spaghetti dinner and drinks. They're always a great community partner, and we love having them around. So thank you to them. And that concludes this program. Ron, you always have something to say in the end. No? Oh, all right. Okay. Thank you guys. Enjoy the meal.